But first, just when you thought the world could not possibly get more Orwellian than it already is, news today that your car may well be spying on you, taking notes about your driving style and reporting it to your insurance company. Drivers in the United States have detailed to the New York Post how their insurance premiums went up after companies, acting without their knowledge, sent data about their driving behaviour to their insurers. Now, there's one Seattle businessman, his name is Ken Dahl. He told the Post he was shocked when he discovered his car insurance went up by 21%. So he rang his insurer and said, "What's going on?" And they explained that it was based on data they were collecting from his Chevy as he'd been driving it for the past 6 months. Turns out his car was dobbing on him, reporting his instances of speeding, his heavy braking, and even his sharp corners. Now, it's not just General Motors that are doing this, according to the report. Subaru, Mitsubishi, Hyundai, Kia, all of these car manufacturers are offering drivers the chance to connect to the internet via an app that advises you on fuel economy, safe driving, but of course drivers aren't aware all of this information is being recorded and then on-sold to their insurers, who use it to determine whether or not you're a risk and to hike up your premiums. Now, it's all a bit subjective because maybe you were speeding up to merge onto a highway, or maybe you slammed on the brakes to avoid a cat. So, Caleb, the more I hear about these new vehicles, the more I grow nostalgic for my old Datsun 180B with tartan seats and a hole in the floor, but it never reported on me. What a great car that was.
Imagine if you'd hung on to it, because they're actually not a bad-looking vehicle.
It was a two-door Triple S. It was a great car.
I mean, how good. And I would be in big trouble if my car were a little newer, as Elizabeth over there can attest, because when we drive home every night, part of our route is the same. And when we're at the lights, let's just say I'm a little quicker off the mark. Because, you know, look, I've got a turbo in the thing. Why would I not take advantage of it and get moving? I'm not here to hang around, right? And the idea that once upon a time, when I was a muckraking court reporter, there was all these yarns I'd do about, people who'd lodged some sort of, workers' compo claim or whatever, and the insurance company would get a bit wary about it, think, I don't think this is quite right, because they keep going down to the footy club every Saturday. So they'd send out a private investigator to monitor. We don't need private investigators anymore. You're just being monitored all the damn time. Data is such a valuable, precious thing, and anywhere data is involved, particularly if you're handing it over for free, you are the product. It's as simple as that. Why would you not, as a car manufacturer, if you've got an opportunity to make money out of this data, make money out of the data? You can't blame them for taking the opportunity that's been put in front of them. It's us, the consumer, who's stupid enough to keep buying into these products. Like, ultimately, we've got to say, look, we are handing over so much data, let's just not do it anymore. I won't buy a new car. I'll keep the thing going. I don't care if I have to go and get an old Morris Minor. I'm not giving them that data. It's time for us to take responsibility and push back and say, no, you're not having it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, my car's getting a bit old. It's about 10 years old now. Really should upgrade. The more of this I read, the more I'm like, the Polo's just going to have to live forever. Because the smarter your phone and the smarter your car, the more data they are gathering. LexisNexis must be laughing all the way to the bank, because they're the ones collecting the data, selling it on to these insurance companies. The insurance companies are then laughing all the way to the bank because they can bump up your insurance by over 20%. There's a guy in Florida who just last December was knocked back by 7 insurance companies. And he was like, hang on a minute, what's going on here? Found out exactly the same thing had happened to him. It had been monitoring his driving skills over the last 6 months. And so they were all knocking him back. He is toying with the idea of taking GM, the car manufacturer, to court. And I hope he does, because that would set a really important precedent, however that court case goes, because the vast majority of people, again, this is always sold to them under the guise of safety. We're trying to make you a more safe and effective driver. Who's not like, oh, well, yeah, sure, okay, if you're going to try and help me, who's going to turn that down?
Sure.
Without telling them, by the way, we are literally tracking your every break brake, your every acceleration, and dobbing on you to your insurer. It is such a breach of privacy. It's not funny. And yet the vast majority of people, were they to be made aware of that, which obviously they aren't, otherwise very few people would sign on to it. You'd have to have rocks in your head. That it's completely unknown to the consumer. And that is just completely unfair. It ought to be illegal.